Baby, did you miss me? As soon as my voice fell, the Gu family members were initially surprised. The #1 beauty of the Capital Academy found a divine boyfriend. Hearing this, everyone looked at me at the same time. Disbelief was in everyone's eyes. They suspected they were hallucinating, thinking that I had fallen in love at first sight with the beautiful girl at the door, thinking that even though I held a high position in the military, I couldn't just openly steal someone else's girlfriend. Xiao Yunqi was a little embarrassed. He looked at me with a cold expression. He looked straight at me and warned coldly, "This gentleman, please be careful with your words and actions." However, I didn't even look at him. I walked towards Xia Qingming on my own, and Xia Qingming, seeing my actions, slowly came to her senses. Her originally ice-cold face, as if shone upon by a warm ray of sunshine, slowly blossomed into a smile, enough to make the heavens and earth lose their color. Everyone subconsciously took a deep breath. They couldn't believe there could be such a perfect woman in the world. Xiao Yunqi subconsciously wanted to look at Xia Qingming. However, he was standing behind Xia Qingming. Before he could step forward, I had already walked up to Xia Qingming and hugged her. Xia Qingming felt the arms embracing her. The corners of her lips curled up slightly. Her red lips pressed against my ear. A voice that softened my heart came out. "I missed you so much." I held the woman's arm and tightened my grip slightly. The next moment, I suddenly let go of Xia Qingming. Then I gave her a light kiss directly on her red lips. Under Xia Qingming's slightly surprised gaze, I smiled faintly. "A reward for you." Some of the older members of the Gu family saw this and couldn't help but turn away. Xiao Yunqi immediately froze on the spot, but the next moment, he glared at me angrily, thinking that this wretched man dared to defile his goddess. He believed that Xia Qingming would definitely push me away and might even kill me in a fit of rage. At this moment, Xiao Yunqi was already imagining the pathetic scene of me being pushed to the ground by Xia Qingming. However, the next moment, he looked as if he had seen a ghost. His eyes widened. He saw that Xia Qingming, faced with my presumptuous behavior, not only was she not angry at all, but she even stood on her tiptoes slightly and gave me a deep kiss. Xiao Yunqi's mind seemed to explode. It went completely blank. Luo Bai was also stunned. He didn't understand who the woman who suddenly appeared before him was. Why did she suddenly kiss me? He thought I should be a couple with Chen Weiner. Tang Bashan was also hit hard. He had seen pictures of Xia Qingming before. He understood that this person before him was the most popular Feng Dian in the academy. But he remembered. A senior told him. A male god once confessed to Xia Qingming and was directly thrown out by her. He didn't understand what was happening now. The male relatives around the Gu family all showed looks of jealousy towards me. Of course, there was also jealousy among them. They stared at me and Xia Qingming. Their eyes filled with unwillingness. They didn't understand. This woman who was beautiful enough to bewitch all living beings, why was she possessed by a man with an ordinary appearance? It wasn't until Xia Qingming and I separated that everyone came to their senses. Xiao Yunqi stared at me, his gaze growing colder, under a strong sense of unwillingness. He suddenly took a few steps forward and walked to my side and Xia Qingming's. He stared at me and asked, "Who are you?" I tilted my head slightly. When my gaze fell on Xiao Yunqi, the smile in my eyes immediately faded. I didn't answer Xiao Yunqi. Instead, I looked at Xiao Qingming in front of me, your admirer. Xia Qingming felt that I was a little unhappy. Her face also turned cold. She said, without leaving any room for negotiation, "There's nothing for you to do here anymore. Get out." When Xiao Yunqi asked me who I was, she knew that Xiao Yunqi didn't know I was here before. In that case, she didn't need to be polite to him anymore. Faced with Xia Qingming's heartless tone, Xiao Yunqi only felt his heart being fiercely cut by a knife. He stared at Xia Qingming. He shook his head lightly. He thought it was impossible. Feng Dian. How could she abandon him for a man like that? This must be fake. Suddenly, Xiao Yunqi seemed to have thought of something. His eyes were fixed on me. The next moment, a look of realization appeared on his face. Feng Dian. You don't have to be afraid of me harassing you and purposely find a man to act with you. There's no need for that. I, Xiao Yunqi, am not a thick-skinned person. You don't need to reject me and make such a big sacrifice. I heard Xiao Yunqi's self-deception. I sized him up, then I shook my head and said, "This gentleman, don't you think too highly of yourself? If it were some other trash coming to cause trouble, I wouldn't even be bothered to pay attention. But a big matter like tearing a love rival apart with my own hands is still better done by myself." Feeling my invasive gaze, a hint of anger flashed across Xiao Yunqi's face. "Someone like you. What right do you have to judge me?" I saw his urgent and defeated appearance. I raised my eyebrows without a change in expression. "Someone like me? What about someone like me?" "Someone like me is loved, no matter how good you are. My baby still doesn't care for you." After speaking, I turned to look at Xia Qingming in front of me. I gave her another light kiss on her red lips and raised my eyebrows. I asked, "Baby, am I right?" Xia Qingming stared at me. Her voice was extremely soft, but it could be heard by Xiao Yunqi and everyone else. "Yes." I smiled brightly. Another kiss landed on the woman's lips. After that, I turned my head and said carefully, "My baby doesn't like you. Stay away from her in the future. Do you hear me?" Xiao Yunqi couldn't suppress his anger. His originally cold voice became sharp and piercing. "What right do you have to speak to me like that?" As soon as the words fell, Xiao Yunqi suddenly raised his hand, wanting to teach me a lesson. However, his hand had just been raised halfway, when his wrist was gripped tightly by a hand. That hand didn't seem to be using any force, but it was like an iron clamp, making him unable to move. I advised him sternly, good students shouldn't fight recklessly. However, just as I finished speaking, a slap echoed from Xiao Yunqi's face. Xiao Yunqi stared at me wide-eyed. I lowered my hand without a change in expression. Xiao Yunqi's face was filled with shock and anger. He couldn't believe that he, Xiao Yunqi, had been hit. Moreover, he had just said that good students shouldn't fight recklessly. I saw the thoughts in Xiao Yunqi's heart. I directly smiled faintly and said, "Among the people you shouldn't hit recklessly, you are not included." Xiao Yunqi's mentality was on the verge of exploding. This sentence of mine made him explode instantly. He stared at me, almost word for word. "You're looking for death." As soon as the words fell, the aura around Xiao Yunqi was unleashed without restraint. Gasps came from everyone's mouths. High-level warrior. In an instant, the attitude of everyone looking at Xiao Yunqi completely changed. No one would have thought that Xiao Yunqi, at the age of over 20, had become a high-level warrior. Under the astonished gazes of everyone, Xiao Yunqi looked straight at me. His ice-cold voice commanded, "Leave Feng Dian on your own. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite." I raised my eyebrows. Impolite? The next moment, the sound of a slap rang out again. At the same time, my clear, faint but cold voice also rang out. "You don't have the right to be impolite with me." Everyone saw on Xiao Yunqi's face. 2 symmetrical slap marks appeared. They all took a cold breath. Xiao Yunqi had just turned 20 and was already a high-level warrior. He would definitely be a great figure in the future. But such a figure was slapped twice in a row by me. Xiao Yunqi felt his face burning. A wave of anger rushed to his head. In his anger, he directly ignored the fact that he couldn't even see my movements clearly. He clenched his fists and said viciously, "You're looking for death." As soon as the words fell, he swung towards my face. Just as his fist was less than an inch from me, Xia Qingming slowly raised her hand. A clear sound of a wrist breaking rang out. Xiao Yunqi suddenly groaned in pain and took a few steps back. He looked at Xia Qingming in shock. Xia Qingming had actually hurt him for another man. At this moment, his heart felt like it was being cut by Xia Qingming's knives. The physical pain was not even 1/10 of the spiritual trauma. Xiao Yunqi had been proud his whole life. He never thought he would like such a heartless woman. But even though she was so heartless to him, he still liked Xia Qingming. The Gu family was also stunned. Xiao Yunqi's wrist was broken. A few men turned to look at me, their faces full of jealousy. Xia Qingming's voice rang out again. "Disappear in 3 seconds. Otherwise, you don't have to leave." Xiao Yunqi gasped. He knew he was no match for Xia Qingming, and he understood even more that Xia Qingming really didn't like him. Then he turned to look at me. His eyes filled with unwillingness. I felt his gaze and raised my eyebrows. "You don't want to go? That's fine, although dealing with you will be a little troublesome. But the Xiao family can't touch me." Xiao Yunqi was so angered by my sentence that he spat out old blood. But Xiao Yunqi understood. He was no match for Xia Qingming. If he insisted on attacking me, not only would he not hurt me, he would also be beaten more time by Xia Qingming. Most importantly, he would completely lose the possibility of being with Xia Qingming. After hesitating for a few seconds, he gave me a look, then left in embarrassment. An hour later, the Gu family's banquet hall was filled with guests from all over the capital city. The Gu family head publicly clarified the matter of his mother stealing the corporation's achievements 20 years ago. At the same time, he confirmed that the real researcher was his mother. My mother was removed from the blacklist of Saya country's enterprises. Then, under the shocked gazes of the guests, he was taken away by Jiang Siki's subordinates and imprisoned in the Gu family's private prison. After the banquet ended, Xia Qingming was called away by her little assistant. As for me, I took my mother back to the villa. After confirming that my sister was fine, I followed Jiang Siki and Go Muye to the D-City military department. Feng Shen had just arrived at the D-City Academy when she received the news. She immediately turned back to the D-City military department. Meanwhile, in a military family villa in downtown D-City, a man in his 20s, around 23 or 24, a slightly chubby but strong-looking figure stood up from his chair. What? Gu Munya was taken away by a man for training. He told her that in 10 days, she would go to conduct military training for the students of D-City Academy. The butler, Uncle Zhang, spoke up to advise. "Young master, I heard that Lord is a high-ranking official in the War Department. Be careful with your words and actions." Lin Weichen snorted. "A 19-year-old punk. No matter how high his rank is, how high can it be? Munya is a 1-star intermediate commander. At most, he's a 5-star intermediate commander. In front of my father, a 3-star senior commander, he's nothing." Uncle Zhang. With this kind of person, what is there that I wouldn't dare to say? The butler opened his mouth. In the end, he said nothing. Lin Weichin snorted again. He could have picked anyone else, but he had to pick my Munya. That piece of trash must have designs on Munya. Uncle Zhang, let's go. To the special training grounds. I want to personally kick that guy out of the War Department. Half an hour later, I appeared at the D-City War Department. No soldiers from the branch were there to greet us. Seeing this, Jiang Siki's expression turned ugly. But Gu Munya was gloating. Commander, it seems the soldiers aren't giving you any face. Hearing this, I looked at her and suddenly gave a faint smile. Munya's heart turned cold. I said nothing. I looked towards the living quarters. The next moment, an extremely authoritative voice came from my mouth. You have 10 seconds to assemble in formation in front of me. Otherwise, get the hell out of the Xie Nation's War Department. As soon as I finished speaking, Jiang Siqi looked at me with a fervent passion rising in her eyes. Her palace master was still as domineering as ever. Gu Munya, on the other hand, was extremely embarrassed. Then, a hint of disdain flashed in her eyes as she looked at me. What a show-off. Get out of the War Department if you don't show up in 10 seconds. Does he even have the authority to say that? Gu Munya's feelings were written all over her face. I glanced at her. I didn't say much as time passed. My expression grew colder and colder. Meanwhile, Jiang Siqi watched as the soldiers failed to arrive. Her forehead was gradually beaded with cold sweat. These soldiers were usually quite obedient. What was wrong with them today? After a long hesitation, Jiang Siqi braced herself and said, Commander Gu, why don't I go and get them? I looked at her. No need. Just dismiss them by name. After speaking, I turned around to leave. Soldiers who don't even have the initiative for training. Keeping them would be a waste of food. Jiang Siqi said stubbornly. Commander Gu, these people were all severely injured on the battlefield. They were withdrawn for health reasons. I hope you will consider their contributions. Please spare them this time. Gu Munya frowned. She didn't understand why Jiang Siqi, who was also a senior commander like me, at most, there was a one-star difference. Why was she being so humble? My steps paused. I tilted my head and glanced at Jiang Siqi. Then I looked back. I saw 9 young soldiers coming out of the living quarters. They saw Jiang Siqi and ran over at top speed. In a few seconds, they had lined up in front of Jiang Siqi. Commander Jiang. The 9 of them stood at attention. They saluted in unison. Jiang Siqi looked at the 9 of them. She questioned coldly. Didn't I inform you that the instructor for your special training was about to arrive? Hearing this, the 9 of them stiffened. They knew the special training instructor was coming, but, according to custom, the instructor was supposed to come to the living quarters to invite them one by one. If they hadn't heard the shout to assemble, they would have sent someone out to check. Knowing Commander Jiang was also here, they had no intention of coming out on their own. Seeing them silent, Jiang Siqi shouted coldly, Speak. The soldiers trembled inwardly, under Jiang Siqi's pressing gaze. One soldier braced himself and stepped forward. He opened his mouth and replied, Reporting. Commander Jiang, we were in the wrong. We apologize to you here. Hearing this, Jiang Siqi, her expression softened slightly, but she spoke coldly. The person you need to apologize to is not me. It's this Commander Gu, who is in charge of your special training. The soldiers were embarrassed. They finally looked at me, standing beside her. My age made them doubt my ability to conduct their special training. Jiang Siqi saw the abnormality on their faces. She spoke coldly. Didn't you hear me? The 9 of them straightened their backs a little more, even though they didn't want to in their hearts. Under Jiang Siqi's watchful gaze, they could only shout, Commander Gu, sorry. My slightly cold gaze fell upon the 9 of them. You should thank Commander Jiang. Otherwise, your names would no longer be on the list of War Department members. Someone was confused. Our names wouldn't be on the list? What does that mean? The next moment, they remembered the order just now to assemble in 10 seconds, or else they were told to get out of the War Department. Instantly, the 9 of them looked at me as if I were an idiot. They were heroes of the Xi Nation, people who were injured on the battlefield and almost became national martyrs, and I was just a kid who hadn't even fully grown up. I could tell them to get out of the War Department with a single sentence. It was truly lawless. A punk of this age, even if he became a commander, he was probably just the lowest-ranking 1-star junior commander, while the 9 of them were all 3-star and above. I glanced at the 9 of them. I raised an eyebrow and smiled lightly. What? Not convinced? A dark-skinned soldier stepped out from the ranks. He puffed out his chest, stood straight, and looked forward. His voice was as hard as iron, reporting, Instructor, we respect you for coming to give us special training. We must respect our instructor. Jiang Siqi heard this clearly unconvinced rebuttal. Her expression grew even gloomier. However, I smiled. It's been a long time since a member of the War Department dared to speak to me like that. I looked at the 9 soldiers and slowly curled the corners of my mouth. It's just that this smile was terrifying. I looked at Jiang Siqi. Commander Jiang, leave these heroes of the Xi Nation to me. You can go and attend to your business. Jiang Siqi looked worriedly at the men. She nodded respectfully at me and turned to leave. After she left, each of them stood further away. Their upright postures relaxed. They started talking as if no one else was there. That scared me to death. It's a good thing we didn't anger Commander Jiang. Otherwise, there would have been trouble. The captain is so clever, he apologized in time. As expected of our captain, he can endure any great humiliation. Gumunya watched this scene and gloated. I stood to the side. My expression didn't change as I listened to the 9 of them talk. After a long time, the 9 of them fell silent. I spoke blandly. Are you done? The dark-skinned soldier heard this and laughed. His respectful demeanor in front of Jiang Siqi changed. He looked at me like a hooligan and said, all right, kid. Recite the military training instructions you've memorized. Read them to us once. Then you can get lost. However, as soon as he finished speaking, a figure suddenly flashed before his eyes. The next moment, my hand was wrapped tightly around his neck. He immediately felt a strong sense of suffocation. Everyone was stunned into action. The dark-skinned soldier's eyes were already rolling back in his head. The mocking smile on Gumunya's face froze. It was replaced by disbelief. How could someone be so fast? As an ultimate peak warrior, she couldn't even see a shadow. Was this man even human? One soldier came to his senses. Under the tense feeling that his comrade could die at any moment, he didn't think. He directly shouted at me coldly. Stop. I tilted my head to look at him. My gaze was calm, but it made one's hair stand on end. The soldier subconsciously retreated. The next step, I threw the soldier in my hand a few meters away like trash. I stepped towards him. Many soldiers seemed to see the god of death walking towards him. In fear, he backed away. His legs went soft and he fell to the ground. As I approached, he felt the cold aura around me. He trembled and opened his mouth. What do you want to do? The other soldiers beside him didn't dare to breathe loudly. The aura I emitted made them feel cold all over. At this moment, all the soldiers were doubtful. Just someone to give them a lecture. The War Department could have sent anyone. Why did they have to send a being like me? Was this special training for them? Or was it to play them to death? Just as some soldiers were doubting their existence, the tall soldier on the ground had already pissed himself in fear. Don't come any closer. If you come any closer. Ill. I stopped in my tracks. I looked at him and raised an eyebrow. Are you ordering me? The tall soldier panted. No. Absolutely not. I saw his timid appearance. I nodded in satisfaction. Then my unquestionable voice rang out again. From today, for the next 10 days. What I say, what I do, I don't want anyone to say the word no to me. Understand? The tall soldier heard this. He nodded without hesitation. Understood. I glanced at him blandly. I turned my head to look at the others. And you? Everyone felt my gaze and came to their senses at the same time. They replied in unison. Understood. My eyes swept over everyone. Then I looked at Gumunya. What about you? Gumunya didn't dare to say a single word of refusal. She quickly opened her mouth. Listen to you. I nodded. I looked at the thinnest and smallest person among the team members. You just said 12 sentences at most. Run 120 laps around the training ground. You can rest when you're done running. As soon as I finished speaking, gasps were heard all around. After running 120 laps, they'll probably be crippled after running. I looked at the skinny soldier who was frozen in place. Is there a problem? The skinny soldier wanted to say there was a problem, but as soon as he met my gaze, he nodded without thinking. No problem. After that, I looked at the others. I pointed at them one by one. You, 110 laps. You, 100 laps. I pointed to the last person. You, 50 laps. The handsome-looking soldier said innocently, Instructor, I didn't say anything disrespectful to you. Just now, he was glad he hadn't run his mouth. But he didn't think he'd have to run too. I said blandly, 60 laps. The handsome soldier was stunned. He spoke without thinking. No. 70 laps. The handsome soldier didn't dare say another word. The other soldiers saw his tragic plight. They deeply understood the meaning of my words. They all warned themselves in their hearts. From now on, whatever I said, goes. There must be absolutely no opposition. Gumunya looked at the tragic scene of everyone. Luckily, she only complained a few sentences in her head. She didn't say it out loud, but before she could be happy for a few seconds, my gaze fell on her. You, 200 laps. My words were like a thunderclap from the ninth heaven. It struck her head hard. Gumunya froze on the spot, but with the handsome soldier's precedent, she didn't dare to ask why. She dared even less to bargain. Gumunya had never been so aggrieved in her life. She hoped her boyfriend would come and save her soon. At the same time, a slightly chubby figure stepped into the training ground gate. It was Gumunya's boyfriend, Lin Weichen. Lin Weichen saw me and Gumunya standing face to face. Anger rose in his heart. He cursed, You turtle, trying to steal my girlfriend. Are you tired of living? As soon as he finished speaking, all the soldiers looked over. Then, the 9 of them looked stunned. Gumunya saw Lin Weichen. Her heart was filled with wild joy. She didn't think Lin Weichen would arrive so quickly, thinking she had someone to back her up. She raised her head and puffed out her chest. She looked at me smugly. Her future father-in-law. Lin Weichen's father, within 10 years. He would very likely be promoted to Grand Commander. Thinking that I was about to face a great disaster, Gu Munya's thoughts were surging when Lin Weichen brought the Lin family's butler and bodyguards. He quickly walked over. I watched as Lin Weichen quickly approached. My face showed no emotion. Until Lin Weichen was about to reach me, I lightly curled the corners of my lips. What did you call me? Lin Weichen raised his chin. He sneered, Turtle. You want to steal my girlfriend too? What? Is there a problem with me calling you that? The 9 soldiers heard this. They looked at Lin Weichen with admiration in their eyes. Actually, they wanted to call him that too. It's a pity they didn't dare. They praised him in their hearts. A true hero. Gu Munya also looked proud. I heard what Lin Weichen said. I nodded with an unwavering expression. Then I walked towards Lin Weichen. Lin Weichen looked at me. He sneered. What? Want to apologize to me? Fine. Kneel before me and kowtow 3 times. I won't pursue this, the responsibility for seducing the girlfriend of the son of a 3-star senior commander of the War Department. Otherwise, it'll make it impossible for you to stay in the War Department. The 9 soldiers heard Lin Weichen speak. They all sucked in a cold breath. They didn't expect that this person was the son of a 3-star senior commander of the War Department. Instantly, they all looked at me with pity in their eyes, even if my strength was decent. But because of my age, and the fact that I was sent to give them special training, at most, I was only an intermediate commander, perhaps even just a junior commander. A rank like that, in front of the son of a 3-star senior commander, he had no status at all. Gu Munya glanced at the expressions of the soldiers. She sneered inwardly. Under everyone's expectant gaze, I nodded at Lin Weichen. I uttered the word okay. The soldiers and Gu Munya heard me speak. Their faces showed no surprise. In the end, no one thought I would dare to be so presumptuous in front of the son of a 3-star senior commander. However, the next moment, everyone's eyes widened as if they'd seen a ghost. It was because I suddenly raised my foot and kicked towards Lin Weichen's knee. Lin Weichen screamed miserably. He cried out as his knees went weak. With a thud, he knelt before me. Everyone turned to stone. I said coldly, 3 kowtows. Do it. Lin Weichen raised his head. He looked at me in disbelief. Are you crazy? My father is a 3-star senior commander of the War Department. How dare you do this to me? What Lin Weichen didn't expect was that, after hearing his words, I remained completely calm. You just said 3 kowtows. Will you do it yourself? Or should I help you? As soon as my words fell, a dead silence fell around us. Everyone thought I was crazy. Lin Weichen stared at me blankly. An inexplicable fear arose. The next moment, he snapped back to his senses. He turned his head to look at the butler and bodyguards who were still in a daze. Seeing their dazed appearances, he was instantly enraged. Are you all dead? Get him! All of you. I want this turtle dead. Their eyes turned cold. They rushed towards me at the same time. The next second, only a blur was seen flashing past. Everyone who came fell to the ground. The 9 soldiers were extremely lucky. Because of the aura around me earlier, they hadn't stood up to oppose my decision. Otherwise, the Lin family's bodyguards on the ground now would be their fate. As for Gu Munya, her attitude towards me also changed. My strength was terrifyingly beyond her comprehension. The Lin family's butler immediately came to his senses. He hurriedly took a few steps back. He quickly took out his communication device. For Lin Weichen's father, who was also Commander Lin, he sent a message, telling him to come quickly. I glanced at him. My gaze fell back on Lin Weichen's face. Will you do it yourself? Or should I help you? Lin Weichen looked at me. He felt my slightly cold gaze. He subconsciously turned his head to look around. He saw Gu Munya standing frozen on the spot. His eyes lit up, as if grasping a life-saving straw. He shouted, Munya, save me. Gu Munya heard this. She immediately stiffened like a log. At this moment, she wanted to run over and cover Lin Weichen's mouth. Save him? How could she? The strength of the Lin family's bodyguards was no less than hers. They were all killed on the spot in an instant. Even if she rushed up, she would just be cannon fodder. Lin Weichen saw Gu Munya's reaction. He was completely desperate. Seeing this, I smiled blandly. How about you come and help him? Lin Weichen and Gu Munya were both embarrassed at the same time. The next moment, they both reacted. I said help him. It wasn't telling Gu Munya to help Lin Weichen deal with me. It was to help Lin Weichen kowtow 3 times. Lin Weichen clenched his fists. My father is a 3-star senior commander of the War Department. Are you tired of living? However, I didn't even look at him. I just said to Gu Munya, come here. Gu Munya heard my unquestionable voice. She was close to tears. Previously, she thought that once Lin Weichen's father arrived, I would be finished. But now, looking at me before her, she was actually a little scared. She was trembling so much she didn't know what to say. I spoke coldly. I don't want to say it a second time. Gu Munya trembled. She looked at me. Then she looked at Lin Weichen. Her face was full of struggle. If she chose to obey me today, it meant abandoning Lin Weichen, abandoning the status of the future daughter-in-law of a 3-star senior commander. In the War Department, She would no longer receive any special treatment. She looked at my calm eyes. Then she thought of Jiang Siki's attitude towards me, and my terrifying strength that took down the bodyguards in an instant. She was suddenly startled. Maybe I wasn't what she had previously thought. Through special means, he obtained the position of a 2-star senior commander. A 19-year-old, relying only on himself, to become a senior commander of 2 stars or more. His future achievements couldn't be bad. The possibility of becoming a grand commander was perhaps even greater than Lin Weiken's father. Thinking of this, Gumunya took a cold breath. I saw that she hadn't acted for a long time. I was gradually losing patience. Next, a countdown with a strong sense of compulsion entered the ears of everyone at the scene. 3, 2, 1. Before I finished counting, Gumunya suddenly closed her eyes. She shouted loudly, "Ill help," immediately after. Under the disbelieving eyes of Lin Weichen, she walked heavily in front of me. She looked at Lin Weichen with a complicated expression. She blamed herself. "Weichen, I'm sorry." Lin Weichen was stunned. He shook his head. "Munya, didn't you say you loved me? You can't do something that lets me down." Before Lin Weichen could finish, Gu Munya spoke again. Her voice carried a sense of finality. "I am sorry." She walked behind Lin Weichen. She had just bent down. One hand pressed on Lin Weichen's shoulder. The other hand pressed on his head. Then, with a burst of strength, she directly pressed his forehead to the ground. The sound of a forehead hitting the ground was heard. Lin Weichen was forced to kowtow to me for the first time. After his forehead touched the ground, he immediately struggled to sit up straight. At the same time, he looked angrily at Gu Munya. Then he looked straight at me. A murderous intent flashed in his eyes. "I, Lin Weichen, swear, when my father arrives, I will definitely make sure you die a horrible death." Just as his words fell, Grand Commander Feng Shen's ice-cold and extremely authoritative voice came from afar. "Who did you say you wanted to leave this world?" Everyone heard the unexpected voice. They all looked in the direction of the sound. When they saw Feng Shen, Gu Munya, Lin Weichen, and the 9 soldiers were all embarrassed. Feng Shen was the highest spokesman for the entire War Department. Almost all the people of the Shan nation recognized him. Gu Munya and the 9 soldiers came to their senses at the same time. They subconsciously saluted Feng Shen. At the same time, they shouted solemnly, "Grand Commander." Gu Munya and the 9 soldiers looked at Feng Shen with doubt. A big shot like Feng Shen. Why did he suddenly appear here? Normally, they were not qualified to meet Feng Shen, but now Feng Shen appeared before them. What was he here for? Some of them thought about the question Feng Shen had just asked. "Who do you want to leave this world?" They could roughly guess that he wasn't here for Lin Weichen. Then they all glanced at me at the same time. Could it be this top Grand Commander of the Shia Nation's War Department came looking for me? Thinking of this, the 10 of them gasped. The Grand Commander came specifically to find me. What an honor this was. Unlike Gu Munya and the 9 soldiers, Lin Weichen felt Feng Shen's attention on him. His face showed joy. He shouted towards Feng Shen, "Grand Commander, my father is the 3-star senior commander of the War Department, Lin Chuan. Please save me quickly." Feng Shen heard this. His face immediately showed understanding. "So it's Lin Chuan's son." Lin Weichen nodded hurriedly. "Grand Commander, he was disrespectful to the family of a superior, according to the rules of the War Department. How should this be handled?" Gu Munya and the 9 soldiers were embarrassed. The War Department did seem to have a rule regarding the punishment for subordinates beating up or insulting the family of a superior, if they remembered correctly. According to the rules, the lightest punishment was 100 war lashes. For serious cases, one could even be imprisoned in the War Department's dungeon for a year of reflection. Thinking of this, Gu Munya and the 9 soldiers looked at me. It was a bit complicated. The rules of the War Department are greater than the heavens. Even if Feng Shen was the Grand Commander of the War Department, he had to follow the rules. I had someone forcibly control Lin Weichen to kowtow to me. This definitely constituted an insult. According to the War Department's rules, I would be beaten at least 100 war lashes. Thinking of this, everyone's eyes showed expectation. However, Feng Shen heard what Lin Weichen said. He just smiled blandly. "Who said he is your father's subordinate?" As soon as Feng Shen's words fell, the 9 soldiers were stunned. Not a subordinate. What does that mean? Not just the 9 of them. Even Gu Munya was stunned, although she had secretly guessed before that I might be a 3-star senior commander. But now, hearing Feng Shen say it with her own ears, it was still a little hard to believe. After all, in the entire Xia Nation's War Department, there were over 100 2-star senior commanders, but there were less than 10 senior commanders of 3 stars or more. They only accounted for a small fraction of the total number of soldiers in the Shia Nation's War Department, 1/3 millionth. And at this moment, Lin Weichen was as if struck by lightning. The youngest senior commander of the Xia Nation's War Department, Jiang Siki, was only a 1-star senior commander. And now, Feng Shen said, I was a senior commander of 3 stars or more. Lin Weichen opened his mouth. Grand Commander, please don't joke. He's not even as old as me. Even if he joined the War Department from his mother's womb, he couldn't climb to the position of a senior commander of 3 stars or more. Feng Shen's expression darkened. Lin Weichen suddenly felt a heavy pressure. Feng Shen said coldly, "You think I would lie to you, a little brat?" Lin Weichen was stunned. It took him a few breaths to find his voice. He stared blankly at Feng Shen. He asked, "How old is he?" Feng Shen said, "You are not qualified to know. Just now, you were the one who said you wanted to make him die a horrible death." Lin Weichen's heart trembled. He suddenly thought, if I were a 3-star senior commander, then his declaration of wanting to kill me would be suspected of plotting to kill a senior commander of the War Department. If that conclusion was really reached, his life would be over. Thinking of this, Lin Weichen's lips turned pale. He said to Feng Shen, "I was just kidding." However, Feng Shen still looked at him coldly. His cold face showed no softness. "The words you've spoken, no one cares if you were threatening or joking. You are an adult, so you should bear the consequences for your words and your actions." After speaking, he directly looked at the 2 soldiers he brought. "Escort him to Yun City Prison, then wait for the results of the War Department's court." The 2 of them nodded. Lin Weichen watched the 2 soldiers approach. He subconsciously backed away. At the same time, he clenched his fists and looked at Feng Shen's face, full of anger and resentment. "Grand Commander, you can't do this to me. My father has fought and bled for the Xia Nation on the battlefield for over 20 years, to be promoted to senior commander." After speaking, he suddenly raised his hand and pointed at me. "And him? What has he done for the Xia Nation? Doing this will make my father's heart grow cold. It might even cause instability in the Xia Nation's War Department." Feng Shen never thought he would one day be lectured by a brat. Pointed at his nose. His expression grew increasingly ugly. In the end, he laughed out of anger. "Then I'd like to see if you have such great ability. If Lin Chuan has this ability." Initially, he treated Lin Weichen like this, mainly to put on a show for me. After all, he wanted me to agree to become a Grand Commander. First, he had to let me see his sincerity. After a while, he would release Lin Weichen. That would also be giving Lin Chuan some face. But Lin Weichen was so tactless, he could only act according to the War Department's rules. The 2 soldiers stepped forward and grabbed Lin Weichen's shoulder. However, just as Lin Weichen was about to be taken away, a middle-aged man with a resolute face quickly walked in. When he saw the scene before him, he couldn't help but be embarrassed. Lin Weichen saw him. He quickly shouted, "Dad, save me." The person who arrived was Lin Weichen's father, the 3-star senior commander of the D-City War Zone, Lin Chuan. He quickly walked up to Lin Weichen. He carefully asked Feng Shen, "Grand Commander, what is this about?" At this time, Feng Shen's expression was still gloomy. He looked at Lin Chuan blandly. "Your good son is preparing to assassinate a 3-star senior commander of the War Department. I am arresting him according to the regulations. Does Commander Lin have any objections?" Lin Chuan was embarrassed. He hurriedly said, "Grand Commander, although my son is lawless, but he would never do anything that violates the law and discipline." "Grand Commander, is there some misunderstanding here?" Lin Weichen saw his father protecting him. He felt wronged. "Dad, this is not my fault. He wants to steal Munya from me, and to increase his chances of getting close to Munya, he forced Munya to be a military training officer at the Imperial Capital Academy. I came to reason with him. I said I didn't agree with Munya being here. He kicked me. He told me to kneel before him and kowtow 3 times. I wouldn't kowtow, so he had someone press me down. Forcing me to kowtow, he insulted me." After speaking, Lin Weichen struggled again. Seeing this, Lin Chuan gasped. At the same time, he was furious, but he didn't dare to vent his anger at Feng Shen. He could only look at me and ask Feng Shen, "Grand Commander, may I ask who this is?" "Who is he?" "Because I joined the War Department. I went abroad after a few days. I just came back a few days ago. Moreover, to prevent domestic and foreign forces from harming me. My documents have a security level no less than Feng Shen's. So even as a 3-star senior commander, Lin Chuan didn't know about my legendary existence in the War Department." With just one look, Feng Shen saw that Lin Chuan believed Lin Weichen's demonic words. His eyes showed a hint of disappointment. "As a high-ranking member of the War Department, you easily believe the words of your relatives, Lin Chuan. You have really been too comfortable for too long." Lin Chuan was embarrassed. He looked at Lin Weichen with suspicion. Feng Shen had no need to lie to him. Could it be that his son was really lying? Lin Weichen hurriedly said, "Dad, the person in charge of military training in D-City are all junior commanders who have been demoted. Munya is an intermediate commander. She can't proactively request to participate in military training. He did this to pursue Munya. I was forced to the ground by him to kowtow. I only said I wouldn't let him go because I was angry. Dad, I was just talking big. I definitely wouldn't dare to actually do it. Dad, help me plead with the Grand Commander. Tell him to let me go, okay?" Lin Chuan looked at Feng Shen's increasingly gloomy face. He hesitated for a moment. He opened his mouth. "Grand Commander, Weichen is still young. He's ignorant, and this commander has already punished him. Why don't we just stop here for today?" Feng Shen suddenly laughed. "Being young allows him to insult a commander of the same rank as you, and even threaten him." I didn't want to waste any more words with Lin Chuan. I directly gave an order to the soldier controlling Lin Weichen. Take him away. Lin Chuan subconsciously raised his leg to block the two soldiers. He looked at Feng Shen in shock. Grand Commander, you said he is a soldier of the same rank as me. Feng Shen nodded slightly. Is there a problem? Hearing this, Lin Chuan looked at Feng Shen. The respect in his eyes diminished somewhat. He looked directly at Feng Shen and asked, May I ask? Great Commander, how did he become a 3-star high-ranking commander? Lin Chuan fought and bathed in blood on the battlefield for 20 years. To complete missions, he almost died on the battlefield. A severe injury caused him, after having Wei Shen, to lose his ability to have more children. But even so, he only became a 3-star high-ranking commander at the age of 42. But now Feng Shen is telling him, I am his equal. Feng Shen said coldly, how he became a 3-star high-ranking commander is not your concern. You just need to know, his contribution to the Xi Nation is something even 100 of you combined could not achieve. Lin Chuan heard Feng Shen's words and was stunned. Not just Lin Chuan. Everyone at the scene was stunned. Lin Chuan thought Feng Shen had gone senile. The disappointment in his eyes grew thicker. He took a deep breath, calming his turbulent emotions. Then, with a serious expression, he looked at Feng Shen and asked, Great Commander, let's not talk about his contribution to the Xi Nation. Being comparable to 100, me, I am just saying if he's really that amazing, what kind of man would he want? He wouldn't lack any. So why would he fight with my son over a woman? Just as Lin Chuan finished speaking, I suddenly sneered contemptuously. Your son is blind. That doesn't mean I am blind too. You, a 3-star high-ranking commander, don't even have the most basic judgment. You're wasting the position you hold. After speaking, I looked at the blushing Lin Chuan. My voice grew colder. First, I looked down on her. Second, my maternal grandfather is Gu Muya's paternal grandfather. Even if I were lacking women, I would not do something so incestuous. Lin Chuan looked at Gu Muya and asked, Gu Muya, is he telling the truth? Gu Muya came to her senses. Yes, he is my maternal aunt's son. Just now, Wei Shen was too agitated. In his state, he wouldn't have believed my explanation at all. So I didn't mention this point. Lin Wei Shen's eyes widened as he muttered, How can this be? Then my coming here. What was the point of all this suffering? Feng Shen glanced coldly at Lin Wei Shen and said to the soldiers holding him down, Take him away. However, Lin Chuan didn't have any intention of making way. He glanced at me, full of unwillingness, and said, Great Commander, I, Lin Chuan, have served the Xi Nation's military for nearly 30 years, completed 1 S-rank mission, 3 A-rank missions, countless B-rank missions. He's just a kid who hasn't even fully grown up. What has he done for the military? So what if my son was disrespectful to him? He's someone who used connections to get his high-ranking commander position. He doesn't deserve the respect of anyone in the military. As soon as Lin Chuan finished speaking, Gu Muya and the 9 soldiers all gasped. They looked at Lin Chuan's face with respect. As members of the military, they naturally knew how terrifyingly difficult S-rank missions were. Every person who completed an S-rank mission was a great hero worthy of being recorded in the history of the Xi Nation's military, and the person before them, Lin Chuan, was one of them. How honored they were to witness such a great figure with their own eyes. Quickly, the 10 of them recovered from their shock and looked at me. The injustice in their eyes grew stronger. Lin Wei Shen collected himself and said with a cold laugh, That's right. He's a kid who's a few years younger than me. What does he have to compare with my father? Someone like him isn't even worthy of carrying my father's shoes. Feng Shen looked at Lin Wei Shen. Then his gaze slowly swept over everyone at the scene. Finally, he looked at Lin Chuan and smiled. Since you think so, you want to know why? Fine. I'll tell you now. After speaking, Feng Shen took from the soldier behind him a golden military book. He opened the book. He stood up a bit straighter. Next, in a solemn and dignified voice, he read, Soldier Gu Chen, for the safety of the nation. Fighting on the Outer Realm battlefield, struggled. And during that time completed 5 top-secret SSS rank missions, 18 SS rank missions, nearly 100 S-rank missions, making enormous contributions to the Xia Nation. By the decision of the Xia Nation's Military General Council, Gu Chen is promoted to the 4th Great Commander of the Xia Nation's military. His authority is equivalent to the other 3 Great Commanders of the military, and holds the highest decision-making power in the Xia Nation's military. Feng Shen's voice trailed off, but the echo still resounded in everyone's ears. At this moment, everyone was stunned. They all stared intently at the golden book in Feng Shen's hand. Only one thought was in their minds. How? How is this possible? Is this something a human can even do? They felt like they were dreaming, but no one doubted the authenticity of this information, because what Feng Shen was holding was the military book, which was like a sacred decree in the military. No one would dare to forge something like this. Lin Wei Shen stared blankly at the military book. At this moment, he wanted to find a hole to crawl into. The words he had just said were like a series of heavy slaps to his face. Beside him, Lin Chuan's shock was no less than Lin Wei Shen's. As one of the few in the military who had completed an S-rank mission, no one knew better than him the difficulty of missions S-rank and above. Back then, to complete that S-rank mission. He nearly died. If he hadn't been lucky, he wouldn't be alive. But I had completed nearly 100 S-rank missions. Not only that, I had also completed 18 SS rank missions and 5 SSS rank missions. The most terrifying thing was, I joined the military when I was only 14 years old, and all these missions were completed within 5 years. He looked at me, wondering what kind of monster I was. After an unknown amount of time, Lin Xuan finally came to his senses. Great Commander. However, Feng Shen didn't look at him. He went directly to me. He seriously handed the book to me with both hands. Commander Gu, please accept the book. I glanced at it but didn't take it. I gave Feng Shen a faint smile. Great Commander, you and this promotion book appeared at just the right time. Not early, not late. You only came when I was being troubled. Furthermore, Feng Shen was standing up for me now. Even the military book promoting me to Great Commander was already prepared. If I refused again, it would seem like I was being ungrateful. Feng Shen saw that I wasn't angry. A smile appeared on his face. I heard you found that person in your family, so I rushed over immediately. It's all just a coincidence. As long as you accept this book, how you want to deal with them is completely up to you. Lin Chuan and Lin Wei Shen heard Feng Shen's words, and their eyes widened instantly. The surrounding soldiers were also startled. No one thought a figure like Feng Shen would say to me that I could deal with a 3-star high-ranking commander and his family as I pleased. Words like that. I ignored everyone's stares and reminded Feng Shen, Great Commander, don't break the military's rules because of me. How they should be dealt with should be according to military regulations. However, Feng Shen shook his head. He looked at me extremely seriously. I am not breaking the rules. It's that you deserve it. I looked indifferently at the determined old man before me. Suddenly, I smiled. It's fine if you want me to accept this position. I don't want to go to the Outer Realm battlefield for the next year. And don't give me any overly complicated work. The soldiers were all embarrassed when they heard what I said. One must know that it has been nearly 10 years for the military since a new great commander was born. And once a new great commander takes office, the whole country would surely rejoice, not to mention the immense power of becoming a great commander. Just the fame that resounds throughout the Exia nation. This point alone was irresistible. But now, the position they dreamed of and yearned for was presented before me by Feng Shen. Not only did I not accept it with the most excited and humble attitude, but I even made conditions with Feng Shen, and such unreasonable conditions at that. Everyone stared at Feng Shen's expression, as if expecting to see Feng Shen coldly reprimand me. However, they never would have dreamed. Feng Shen heard me, and he breathed a sigh of relief. He smiled and nodded without hesitation. These are all small matters, as long as you agree to accept the position of Great Commander. Everything is negotiable. Everyone was stunned. Why? They had the feeling that Feng Shen was begging me to take the promotion. I saw Feng Shen's fox-like smile. I raised an eyebrow. How come I didn't know? When did the Great Commander become so easy to talk to? Feng Shen's face turned serious. He said seriously, I just said it. You deserve it. If not for you, the Exia nation wouldn't have its current status as the world's #1 superpower. Forget being the #1 superpower. It would probably be difficult to even maintain our previous 4th place position in the world. Everyone around gasped, including Lin Xuan. Everyone was shaken. For the Xia nation to become the current #1 superpower in the world was all thanks to a kid who wasn't even 20. Everyone was still doubtful. Feng Shen's next words struck them like a bolt of lightning. Commander Gu, you've only been away from the Outer Realm battlefield for 3 days. Before, the Tianlang troop, under your direct command, seems to have lost its leader. They had never failed before. Recently, they lost 2 battles in a row. The foreign nations are pressing their advantage. If the situation doesn't improve soon, at best, the Xia nation's elite forces will be forced to weaken. At worst, the Xia nation's status as the #1 superpower will be severely damaged. As soon as Feng Shen finished speaking, everyone was shocked and froze in place. At this moment, the way everyone looked at me changed. It's no exaggeration to say that the Xi nation's current world status, more than half of its achievements belong to the Tianlang troop. For the safety of the Tianlang troop's members, the file of each member is a top secret in the entire Xia nation's military. Few people know who the members of the Tianlang troop are, and even fewer know about the most legendary leader of the Tianlang troop. What kind of brave and skilled legendary figure he is. Now, Feng Shen was telling them that I was the leader of the Tianlang troop. They finally understood why I could become a great commander at this age. Feng Shen said, he was right. Without me, there would be no modern Xi nation. The position of great commander, I deserved it. At this moment, even Lin Xuan's eyes were full of respect when he looked at me, but my face turned cold. I've been focused on finding my little baby recently. I haven't paid attention to the situation on the Outer Realm battlefield. I didn't think I had only been away from the Tianlang troop for a few days, that those people's morale would drop to such an extent. Immediately after, I took out my special phone and sent a message. After sending it, I no longer hesitated. I raised my hand and accepted the promotion book. I looked at Feng Shen seriously. This position of great commander, I accept. I will also shoulder the corresponding responsibilities. As long as I am in the Shy Nation's military for a single day, the Xi Nation will not fall from its position as the world's #1 superpower. Down. Feng Shen heard my arrogant promise. His old face revealed a comforting smile. The future of the military is the world of young people like you. In the future, you will definitely become a more outstanding great commander than me. I smiled faintly. You haven't retired yet. You handle most of the military's affairs first. Wait until you can't move anymore. Then think about throwing this mess to me. Everyone was already numb. Hearing me describe the Xia Nation's military as a mess, they felt no great fluctuations in their hearts. Feng Shen heard me. He said nothing. He turned and instructed a soldier, relay the order. Announce on the front page of all national news tomorrow. The fourth great commander of the Xia Nation has been born. However, before the soldier could respond, I suddenly opened my mouth. Wait, I still have to return to the Outer Realm battlefield in a while. It's not suitable for me to appear in the public eye right now. Feng Shen hesitated for a moment, then nodded. All right, the news will not contain any of your personal information, but this news must be released. Otherwise, when you appear in the public eye later, it will be unjustifiable. Seeing that I didn't refuse, Feng Shen said, in a few days, I will organize an upper-class party in D-City. At that time, I will let you enter the sights of the entire upper class of D-City and all the high-level officials of the military. I want those in the military who are biased against you to see clearly the gap between you and them. I nodded. You arrange it. I will try my best to cooperate. Feng Shen saw me nod. He breathed a sigh of relief. Then, he turned to look at the surrounding soldiers and the members of the Gu family. I will draft a confidentiality agreement later. You will sign it. I hope what happened here today can rot in your stomachs forever, if any of you leaks Commander Gus information. Not only will you lose your lives, your relatives within 3 generations will all be implicated because of you. Feng Shen's voice wasn't loud, but everyone felt a chill in their hearts. They all responded at once. At this moment, they all understood my importance to the Shy Nation. No one doubted the truth of Feng Shen's words anymore. Half an hour later, everyone finished signing. Lin Chuan hesitated for a moment. Then, with a repentant look, he said to me, Commander Gu, today I offended you. It was I, Lin, who was blind. I hope you won't hold it against me. I looked at him indifferently. I can forgive you. Immediately after, I raised my hand and pointed at Lin Weishen, but he must be dealt with according to the laws of the Xi Nation. Lin Chuan seemed to age 10 years in an instant. He paused and said, Commander Gu, I am willing to resign from all my positions in the military, in exchange for my son avoiding imprisonment. I hope Commander Jiu will grant my request. I glanced at Lin Weishen. At this moment, Lin Weishen was also looking at me. His eyes were full of fear and regret. I turned to look at Lin Chuan. I said indifferently, You've thought it through. Lin Chuan gave a bitter smile. One must always pay the price for one's mistakes. Wei Shen was indeed spoiled by me. I nodded. All right. Lin Chuan respectfully cupped his fists at me. Thank you, Commander Gu. After speaking, he directly pulled up Lin Weishen, who had collapsed to the ground, and walked in the direction they came from. Then, Feng Shen and the others also left one by one. Soon, only I, Gu Mu Ya, and the 9 soldiers were left on the training ground. The way Gu Mu Ya and the 9 soldiers looked at me had changed completely. They never would have dreamed that the instructor who came to give them special training was a legendary figure of the entire Xia Nation, the leader of the Tian Lang troop, and also a supreme being who had just been promoted to great commander. How honored they were to be personally trained by a figure of my level. However, a few days later, the soldiers undergoing high-intensity training found it completely unbearable. And I was a demon. Soon, it was the last day. It was also the day before the academy's military training began. Gu Mu Ya was sure I was no longer scolding them and breathed a sigh of relief. Crazy. That man is really crazy. The soldier next to him exclaimed. I understand why the Tian Lang troop is so amazing. With this kind of demon as an instructor, if their strength still can't improve, then they're truly useless. The dark-skinned soldier beside him sighed. We're not members of the Tian Lang troop, to put it bluntly. We're already cripples. He just needed to teach us a little about military training methods, but he tortured us for nearly 10 days. Was it necessary to waste each other's time? The other 8 soldiers fell silent upon hearing this. They were all cripples. Even if they tried hard, it was useless. The special training made their old injuries flare up. If this continued, not only would they not be able to go to the battlefield, their bodies would also be completely ruined. Before anyone could say anything, the sound of footsteps suddenly rang out. The soldiers' bodies stiffened. They stiffly turned their heads and saw me. Everyone almost instinctively stood up. Then they quickly lined up, standing before me in the most standard posture. I looked indifferently at the soldiers before me, wasting each other's time. The soldiers' hearts trembled. My eyes were cold. Words like that, I don't want to hear them a second time. 300 sets of combat training, finish in 3 hours. Everyone replied yes. 3 hours later, the training ended. Except for Gu Mu Ya, every soldier's face was pale. They felt like they could faint at any moment. But they still stood straight. I nodded at them. Your progress barely meets my expectations. It's passable. When the soldiers heard this, their drowsy minds immediately cleared up. At this moment, they all thought these hard days were worth it. Even if they had to leave the military today, they wouldn't have too many regrets. I smiled faintly. These people are all trainable talents. They are worthy of my time to teach. I took out a porcelain bottle. Hey Bao, distribute the pills in this bottle. The 9 of you. 1 pill each. Hai Bao hurried forward to receive it. He distributed the pills to the others. I ordered, take it. The 9 soldiers followed without hesitation. After taking the pills, they felt a warmth spread through their bodies. The injuries on their bodies, under the effect of that medicine, were slowly recovering. Realizing this, the soldiers all froze. The next moment, their faces were ecstatic. The progress of these 10 days made them believe that if not for the injuries on their bodies, their progress could have been even greater. But now, because of the pill I gave them, they saw hope. If this pill could heal their injuries, then I would be no different from their second parents. Gu Muya turned to look at me. She saw that they were eating good stuff. Why didn't she get any? Was she not worthy? She looked at me with a bit of resentment. I didn't even give her a glance. Focusing on the 9 soldiers, from the change in their complexions, I was sure that 1 pill could heal their injuries. 10 minutes later, He Bao suddenly knelt before me. He looked at me gratefully. Thank you, Commander Gu. The other 8 people saw this, and also knelt before me. Thank you, Commander Gu. Now they understood that I was training them. I looked at everyone indifferently. You should thank your own perseverance and effort. If even one of you had given up halfway, I wouldn't have stayed here this long, let alone give you this medicine. Everyone took a cold breath. They knew the medicine I gave them was not ordinary, but they didn't know it could bring someone back from the brink of death. It was no different from me giving them a new life. Hai Bao came to his senses and hurriedly opened his mouth. We will definitely not let down the great commander's training. The other 8 repeated after him. They swore in their hearts. As long as they were alive, they would definitely not disappoint my expectations. I nodded lightly. All of you, stand up. For the rest of today, rest well. After the military training, I will arrange new training missions for you. I hope you won't disappoint me. The 9 people hurriedly and respectfully responded. We understand. I nodded lightly and turned to walk towards the main gate. Gu Muya hesitated for a moment, then chased after me. Commander Gu, where are you going? I'll take you. I didn't refuse. However, after I left, the soldiers continued to train in the same spot. An hour later, everyone laid down on the ground again. This time, they felt unprecedentedly refreshed. They discussed waiting for the military training to begin, wanting to be a demon instructor like me. They already imagined the terrified and trembling appearance of the students. Speaking of this, everyone looked forward to tomorrow's military training even more. On the other side, the address where Shai Qingming and I agreed to meet. Half an hour later, Gu Muya drove me to a villa area in the center of D City. She parked in front of the main gate. After I got out of the car, Gu Muya also chased after me. I haven't seen Auntie in a long time. I haven't seen her since Wanwan was born. Since I came with Commander Jiu today, I might as well see her. I didn't refuse. I stepped into the villa area. At this moment, Lin Weishen walked over from the opposite direction. Seeing me and Go Muya, he was embarrassed. The 4 people next to him didn't know that the relationship between Gu Muya and Lin Weishen had broken down. They sized me and Gu Muya up, their faces showing suspicion and scrutiny. Gu Muya looked at Lin Weishen, her face also a little embarrassed. Thinking of that day, she forced Lin Weishen to kowtow to me. She felt a little remorseful. So when she saw Lin Weishen, she subconsciously took a step back. Those 4 people already suspected that she and I had an illicit relationship. Seeing this, their faces all darkened. One of the male students stared at Gu Muya and questioned, Gu Muya, who is he? Lin Weishen hurriedly pulled him. And Shen, Gu Muya and I have already broken up. Let's go quickly. And Shen heard this. His face showed doubt. Broken up? The 3 people next to him also found it hard to believe. You two have always had a good relationship. How could you just break up like that? Lin Weishen didn't dare to look at me. He hurriedly said, we just felt we weren't compatible, so we broke up. Let's go quickly. However, when the 4 saw this, the suspicion on their faces grew stronger. And Shen said with a serious face, Wei Shen, tell me, did Gu Muya do something to wrong you? Lin Weishen was about to collapse. No. If you want to know, I'll tell you in detail later. Can we leave here first? His father had gone through so much trouble to protect him. He was really afraid that I would cause trouble for him again. But whatever you fear comes true. The thought had just popped into Lin Weishen's head. My voice was a little cold. Please make way. Lin Weishen's heart skipped a beat. He subconsciously wanted to pull the 4 away. The 4 of them didn't move. And Shen looked at me contemptuously. Wei Shen broke up with Gu Muya. Did some bastard steal his girlfriend? Gu Muya, you left Wei Shen for this kind of trash? Are you blind? The other 3 also reacted, looking at Gu Muya with dissatisfaction. But before they could open their mouths, Lin Weishen slapped and Shen. If you don't know how to speak, then shut up. Gu Chen is handsome and elegant. Which of your eyes saw him as a bastard? Even if he really likes Gomyu Ye, that's also him acknowledging my taste in women. It's my honor. As soon as Lin Wei Shen finished speaking, the four of them were all stunned. They suspected Lin Wei Shen was possessed. Soon, and Shen came to his senses. He looked at Lin Wei Shen in astonishment. Lin Wei Shen. You hit me? For a man like that? You hit me. Lin Wei Shen hurriedly said. What do you mean? A man like that, Shen. Hurry up and apologize to this gentleman. And Shen saw his clenched fists. His voice was resolute. Lin Wei Shen, I am breaking off my friendship with you. After speaking, he turned and left. Anxiety rose in Lin Wei Shen's heart, but he didn't dare to leave directly. Instead, he bowed to me. Sorry. Seeing my unchanging expression, he then chased after them. The other three glanced at me and also chased after them. Just then, my phone suddenly rang. I answered it. Xia Qingming's voice came from the other side. Hearing her voice, I hooked my lips into a smile. All right. I am coming over now. I hung up. I then saw Gu Muya's complicated expression. She swore she had never thought in her life that my face could reveal such a smile. 5 minutes later, I arrived at the sales office. As soon as I entered the hall, I saw Xiao Yunqi. He was talking to a middle-aged woman. That person might be the only great figure the Xia nation has produced in 10 years. Born to be a great commander, giving him such an ordinary villa, would he even like it? Xiao Yunqi's mother, Song Shuling, heard this. She shook her head. This villa is just a token. What mom really wants to give, naturally won't be on the surface. Xiao Yunqi seemed to think of something. His eyes widened. You're not planning to give. Song Shuiling interrupted him. All right. Let's choose the villa first. Xiao Yunqi nodded seriously. Just as Xiao Yunqi was about to choose, his gaze suddenly fell on me. He subconsciously clenched his fists. The pain from his arm shot through, making him think of the humiliation at the Gu family's banquet. A look of disgust appeared on his face. Song Shuiling saw this, and couldn't help but ask, Yunqi, who is this? Xiao Yunqi replied, someone who should have stayed in his place as a lowlife, but relied on stealing other people's girlfriends to climb up, a despicable commoner. Hearing this, my steps halted, and an icy aura pressed down. Before I could do anything, Xia Qingming and my mother happened to come out of the VIP room. Xiao Yunqi saw Xia Qingming and Mother Gu. A look of understanding appeared on his face. He looked at me with contempt. Thinking that I had begged Xia Qingming to come and buy a house for me, clearly doesn't have that kind of background, but still wants to be a freeloader. Song Shuiling saw Xia Qingming. Surprise, the girl from the Xia family. Xiao Yunqi's face showed doubt. His mother knew Xia Qingming. How did he not know? Song Shuiling withdrew her gaze and explained, your great-uncle has 2 daughters in total. One is your future wife candidate, Xia Zxi. The other is this Xia Qingming. Xiao Yunqi froze. The first time he met Xia Qingming, he had investigated her background, but he never found anything. He didn't think Xia Qingming was a side-branch child of the Xia family. I heard she was a weak, good-for-nothing. Song Shuiling nodded. That's right. At first, she was a useless ado. The Xia family hid her well, afraid she would bring them shame. But half a year ago, there was an accident. After that, she seemed like a different person. I originally planned to let you two meet after today's party. See if you like Xia, or if you like Xia Qingming more. Meet both, then you can decide who to marry. But I didn't think you two would meet beforehand. Xiao Yunqi was ecstatic. He thought heaven was helping him. He also didn't think that one of the marriage candidates his mother found for him was Xia Qingming. The surprise was too sudden. Xiao Yunqi quickly calmed down and asked, Mom, what do you think of Xia Qingming? Song Shuiling thought for a moment, then slowly opened her mouth. Speaking of the Xia Qingming from half a year ago, she was mud that couldn't support a wall. But the her now. Speaking of this, her tone became serious. Her future is limitless. Xiao Yunqi didn't think that his mother would have such a high evaluation of Xia Qingming. Xiao Yunqi hurriedly said to Song Shuiling, Mom, I have something to tell you. Song Shuling's face showed a slight smile. You're not planning to tell me you fell in love with this girl at first sight. Xiao Yunqi nodded. Seeing this, Song Shuling smiled. Song Shuling patted his shoulder. Go. Let's go, take a look. After she finished speaking, she walked towards Xia Qingming. Xiao Yunqi looked at me proudly. This commoner dares to fight with him. Xiao Yunqi, over a woman. He doesn't even look to see if he's worthy. Song Shuling walked up to Xia Qingming and took the initiative to smile and speak. Niece, Xia Qingming. What a coincidence. Xia Qingming's expression was indifferent. Aunt Xiao. I was a little surprised to hear this, although I had never met Song Shuiling. I knew this person was the matriarch of the Xiao family, but I didn't think Xia Qingming would call Song Shuiling aunt. Doesn't this make it clear? Xia Qingming is very likely a member of the Xia family. After all, The Xia family is one of the 5 great families. I immediately had an epiphany. No wonder Di Qing couldn't find any information on Xia Qingming. If she's from the Xi family, then it's not strange. Just as my thoughts were wavering, Song Xueling suddenly smiled and looked at me. Young man, you are, I replied, my name is Gu Chen. Song Xueling's face showed confusion. The Gu family. She seemed to be thinking about how many Gu families there are in D City. Seeing this, Xiao Yunqi directly spoke up. Mom, of all the families surnamed Gu in D City, there's only one minor, second-rate family. At tonight's banquet, the Gu family doesn't even have the qualifications to enter the outer hall. Song Xueling nodded in understanding. She seemed to think of something, looking at Xie Qingming. Niece, the evening banquet is extraordinary. If you don't have a male companion, you might be laughed at. After saying that, she looked at Xiao Yunqi beside her. The hint was very clear. Hearing this, I raised an eyebrow and looked at Xia Qingming. A banquet. Xia Qingming nodded lightly. To celebrate the appearance of the 4th great commander of Xia country, Commander Feng is hosting the banquet. It's not easy to refuse. It just occurred to me. 10 days ago, Feng Shen said he wanted to throw a promotion party for me. I just didn't think. This banquet was about to start, but Feng Shen still hasn't notified me. As the man himself, I opened my mouth. I'll go with you. As soon as I finished speaking, Xiao Yunqi chuckled. You'll go with her? Do you know what level of banquet that is? Let's not even mention an insignificant junior from the Gu family like you. Even if you were the head of the Gu family, you wouldn't have the qualifications to attend. Song Xueling also shook her head, as expected of someone from a small family. He can't make it to the big stage. Just when Xiao Yunqi and Song Xueling thought Ye Qingming would react to this, and her expression would change, they didn't expect Xie Qingming to just smile faintly. She nodded at me and said, I'll have someone make an invitation for you. I shook my head again. Someone from the War Department will give it to me. As soon as I finished speaking, the way Song Xueling looked at me completely changed, and she became even more disappointed with Xie Qingming's taste in men. Xiao Yunqi looked at me as if I were an idiot. Someone from the War Department will personally invite you? If such an idiot really exists in the War Department, it would be a disgrace to the War Department. Someone like you should get out of the Xia country's War Department as soon as possible. As soon as Xiao Yunqi finished speaking, the phone in my pocket suddenly rang. I took out my phone and looked. The caller ID clearly showed Feng Shen. I glanced at the phone screen, then looked at Xiao Yunqi. Xiao Yunqi felt my gaze. An uneasy feeling inexplicably rose in his heart. Before he could speak, I pressed the answer button and put the phone to my ear. I said faintly, Great Commander. Hearing this, Xiao Yunqi and Song Xueling were both stunned. They thought they had misheard. How could the Great Commander possibly call me? Someone spoke on the other end of the line. I chuckled. You've already arranged everything, and you're only asking me now. If I were to refuse, where would you hide your old face? The person on the other end said something again. My smile deepened. I know you have good intentions. I'll be there tonight. Hearing this, Feng Shen on the other side was finally relieved. Just as he was about to hang up, I suddenly said, Wait. I looked at Xiao Yunqi. He still had a doubtful expression. I said faintly, the words, Say what you just said one more time. Xiao Yunqi's heart tightened, but he quickly burst out laughing. He suddenly raised his hands and applauded me.